talking to women, you're impressive. And yet 90% of you are like, no, I'm not so sure about that, at least once a week. So that we have kind of a idea of what everybody's experiencing, if you so choose, please answer some of these questions in your Menti app to see what the real experience is for women in this room right now when it comes to imposter syndrome. We're all looking at that gaping hole in the middle, aren't we? Nobody said they don't experience this. So when your words, when your superpowers aren't quite cutting it for you, I do have another strategy for you to do. And I call it a resume review, but most of the clients I work with call it a me file. This is something you can do, you can start it right now. You're gonna create a file of data and evidence for your brain. So when your brain says, you suck, you can't do this, you shouldn't be sitting at the table, you give your brain data and evidence. And here's what it looks like. It can be an electronic file, which is sometimes easiest for a lot of people, or you can print it out and put it in binders. You collect evidence of all the accomplishments and amazing things you've done. It should include your resume. It can include awards, recognitions. It could be performance reviews that you got from your supervisor that were really stellar. It might be thank you notes from students or colleagues. It might be that you got an award for salsa dancing. That should be included too, because that is part of you. You collect it and then you add to it throughout your lifetime. Now, some people are like, yeah, all right, so I collected in this file, then what? What does that do? That's the evidence you're going to be able to give your brain, because you review this file once a week. In really shaky times, maybe once a day. But once a week, you sit down with a nice cup of whatever, and you read through this file. You skim through it. It'll take you 5 to 10 minutes max. Because in those moments when your brain tries to go down the imposter road, the other part of your brain will say, nope, we just read that. Remember? We did amazing things. We've done amazing things. We're going to continue doing amazing things. Because if you don't give your brain something to think, it's going to continue thinking what it wants. The habit of thinking that we're not worthy. So you have to give it something else to think about, or it'll just keep doing its habitual thinking. Imposter syndrome is an evolutionary leftover. Do you know what it does for us? What its intent is to do for us? Protect us. It's meant to protect us from doing risky or scary things, like don't offer that opinion because someone might laugh at you. Don't apply for that job because they might not take you. So it's trying to save us from pain, just like it did when we were cave people and saber-toothed tiger was like, nope, don't go near that because that's dangerous. Except, applying for a job is not a saber-toothed threatening situation. So you have to remind your brain, I don't need that anymore, because I've got all this evidence that I can do this stuff if I so choose. That's what your me file is about. So you can choose to do it or not, but I promise you that if it becomes part of your process, the imposter syndrome lessens, goes away, and then you are functioning as a powerful woman, your authentic self. All right, so I'm a big proponent of not letting you off the hook. At your tables, very quickly, I want you to commit to one thing you would put in your me file. You're not bragging. You're not being full of yourself. You're just talking about data and evidence. So share at least one thing you would put in your me file. And if you don't have a partner, find a table that you can turn around and share it with. So you have 2 minutes to go around your table. One more minute.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Every term that I finish, I clean it up. So I can say, okay, next term, oh my gosh, I put that in.
15 seconds. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. It's my least favorite part of giving any talk. Quiet for that. If you didn't get to everybody at your table, maybe spend a couple extra minutes when we finish just hearing about what's going into their meat file after the session. Okay. Third, as a powerful woman, and to create a new norm around powerful women, you get to decide what your model of leadership is. That means it could be the tapestry model or the thread model. It could be masculine or feminine or a combination. It absolutely should include your superpowers. But by creating and defining your own model of leadership, not necessarily one that fits into the top 10 leadership styles, your model of leadership, that's how you are an authentically powerful woman. Now, once you do that, once you have your list of superpowers ingrained into a model of leadership that is reflective of who you are, then you can use this model of leadership to look for opportunities to lead and grow the power of other women. Think about this. If you just do it for yourself, you're a threat. You can be a threat, but a tapestry is stronger. Women's voices are significantly underrepresented in leadership, yet preaching to the choir. While we make up 51% of the population in America, we only hold 28% of the seats in Congress and 31% of the seats in statewide elected races, and of course 0% presidential seats. On corporate boards, only 29% of the seats are held by women. And in my industry, there's only a third of us who are women. Luckily not in this conference. So, whether it's in politics, whether it's on boards, whether it's speaking to groups locally or globally, our perspectives, experiences, and opinions are underrepresented. When you create your model of leadership, you can then decide to go after leadership positions to promote other women, and most importantly, women's issues. You can give balance to the voices who are making decisions, because those voices are making decisions for us, so why wouldn't we make sure our voices are part of the decision-making process? That's what identifying yourself as a leader and clearly knowing what type of leader you are based on an authentic analysis of yourself, that's what it can do. And that's how we start to change the norm permanently for powerful women. The fourth way we're going to talk about is simply stating what you want. And to do this, you can choose to stop masturbating. Do I have everybody's attention now? Because I will never advocate to stop doing the other one. I want you thought. When I talk about masturbating, this is the tendency to must yourself regularly. I must go to my kid's game. I should go to the grocery store. I have to go to the gym. I need to organize Thanksgiving. That's masturbating. And women are pros at this. Rather than approaching your perspective on life from the shoulds, have to, needs to, and musts, and if you're fancy, ought, you can choose to replace all of those with one of two words: want or will. I will organize Thanksgiving because I like Thanksgiving and I like it to be a certain way. I want to go to the gym because I like feeling healthy. I will sit down and write that report so I can just get it off my plate. Want and will are power words, functional control words. The other words, the shoulds, the have tos, the needs to, and the musts, those come from a place of our childhood. We learn it really early. You need to go do your homework. You should really go put away your shoes. We get ingrained in hearing this, and then we use it not only with the people in our lives, but worse, with ourselves. But when you change all those statements to want and will, you're back in the power seat. You're making choices of what works for you, not the things that you feel out of stress, guilt, and shame that you should be doing. So that's how you can reframe it. Because asking for what we want is not selfish, it's self-preservation. And learning how to just say, this is what I want, not only allows you to ask for it, it allows other people in your tapestry to maybe help you get it. So that's why I asked you to put up here, because every once in a while when I'm doing this talk, someone will put something up there, and someone in the room can help them achieve that want, because that's what it means to be a powerful woman and start to help other people in your tapestry. Very simply, by asking for what you want is not about asking, or not about saying me first. It's about saying me too. I'm also a priority along everybody else in my life. I'm not second fiddle to everybody else. So we change the norm from women as givers to women as givers to self and others. All right, so we're taking a look up here just out of curiosity. I want to love my work. I want you to love your work too, whoever that was. I want freedom, I want to retire, I want to make my kids feel loved, start my business, advance my career. Yeah. So when you look at what you wrote up there, look at your tapestry. Who can help you? Does everybody in your tapestry know what you want? Because if they don't, they can't help you. And if you don't know what your colleagues, what your female colleagues want, you can't help them. So stop being silo. Let them help you, and certainly be there to help them. All right. Finally, if we are going to flourish as powerful women, and one of the women on the presidential panel, I wanted to stand up and just shout, she nailed it. If we want to flourish as powerful women, we have to stop believing the lies society has told us. You ready for it? We can have it all. And she clearly identified which one said it so wonderfully, but thank you, Dr. Bloomberg. We absolutely can have it all. We just cannot have it all at the same time. And somehow we've been told that we can. And it exhausts us because we're trying to do it all. We're trying to give 100% to our kids, and 100% to our relationship, and 100% to our career, and 100% to our parents, and 100% to everything else in our life. And that is a mathematical impossibility. If you can figure out a way around that, please contact me, because I would love that. But all we have is 100% every day. So some days, maybe our kids only get 10%. But you know what? Probably in a week, there's going to be a day they get 100%, and nothing else happens. You're always going to hit 100%, but it might be a timeline of months or years. You just don't have to do it all right now. And when you try, we undermine our power. We exhaust ourselves. We have nothing left to give to ourselves or to anyone else in our life because we are tired. And again, any of you not tired, just let me know what you're taking because I want some of that. So, when people tell me that they're trying to achieve work-life balance, I have to hold back not slapping them. There's no work-life balance. Balance is equity. Balance is perfectly balanced. We don't have that. What we can try and go for is work-life harmony, where things are flowing together. They're woven together just like a tapestry. We can achieve that. That's a realistic goal. But balance, you might as well just throw that out of your vocabulary if you want to truly be a strong, powerful woman that can be there for other powerful women. Okay. So, the question is, why are we still afraid of powerful women? In all candidness, powerful women challenge how society views its members, and it models a different way of thinking about things, a different norm. It tells not only individuals or leaders that there can be a different way. Powerful women rebel against behaviors that try and shove us back into the old boxes which subvert our power or disrespect our authentic selves. Ultimately, we defy others who want to try and tear us apart into those individual threads instead of letting us get stronger in our tapestries. It is not on us or on you as an individual to convince society that powerful women are comfortable. What it is on you to do is to be who you are fully, authentically, and deliberately. Because ultimately, when it comes down to it, that's what a powerful woman is. So now, you can decide through this shared space if the women in this room are going to become part of your tapestry and you part of theirs. And I appreciate all of you for becoming part of my tapestry, for your feedback and your presence. I'm happy to take any questions if there are any, but thank you so much.
Please give Dr. Buckley another round.
Yes.
Please give Dr. Buckley another round of applause. Do you have any questions for Dr. Buckley?
We know that it is a different voice, and we know that it is the smallest voice of how you shut it up.
Yeah. So that's great. So the question was, how do you shut up that victim voice? And one thing that we don't do well as humans is talk back to our brain. So I apologize, I'm a brain geek, and I love talking about the brain in an anthropomorphic way. So if we don't talk back to our brain is just going to think, our brains are lazy. Let me start with that. Lazy organ. Sole purpose is to keep us alive, and it will harness any resources so that it can do its job. That means that if we are stuck in habitual victim thinking, our brain's going to keep doing that until we teach it otherwise, because it's saving resources. It's not going to make it a new habit is hard. So it is learning to talk back to your brain in the moment it's happening, ideally. Now, if you can do it at least in your own head, great. If you can do it out loud and people aren't going to be thinking you're crazy when they hear you, even better. And if you can write it down, that's the best way to start reconfiguring this habit. So can you give me an example of a victim statement? I don't have the skills for that job. So the me file certainly helps with that, because you're like, nope, I just looked at my me file. I totally have these skills. And maybe at that moment you write down at least 3 things that you can remember, because then your brain is hearing it because you're saying it out loud, and it's seeing it because you're writing it. But what most of us do is like, yeah, I don't have the skills, and then we try and distract ourselves. You know, we listen to music, we pump ourselves up with Lizzo, at least that's what's on my playlist. Like, we do anything to try and like not think about it or to get past it, instead of just talking to the brain saying, no, stop being a toddler, we can do this, and here's the proof. So talking back to your brain and giving it data and evidence that it can't refute. So don't like say, yes, I can totally be a neurosurgeon right now, tomorrow, because your brain's gonna be like, you're full of it. Like, of course you can't. You give it pieces of evidence that are irrefutable, and you do it every single time so that your brain starts to form new habits of thinking. Does that help?
Other questions? Don't be shy.
I agree, like I said. Yes, please.
My question to you is, how long do you think this rewiring can be on your brain? Hey, like I started this like last year, I'm only 21.
How long does the rewiring take? So at 21, it's going to take a lot longer than at 51, because our brains are more plastic when we're younger. And I would say that the big piece to it for anybody is consistency. 90% of the time, doesn't have to be 100%, but 90% of the time, you are addressing these thoughts. You are doing something actively to fight back these thoughts. Because it's not just creating a habit, it's actually exactly what you said, structurally changing our brain, creating those new neural pathways that work for us rather than against us. So I can't give you an exact timeline. I can tell you it's easier when you're younger, because you also haven't had the built up years of experience of listening to that voice. But I have seen it in clients who really dedicate themselves. I've seen them start to see changes in how they talk to themselves, how they think, within a couple of months. It's not going to be foolproof, but it's that dedication. If you want to achieve a goal, like all of us do in this room, then it's saying, this is my goal. Every single time I'm going to use one of these strategies to fight through it. Because I want to be powerful and I want to be powerful to support other women.
Any additional questions? Okay, please give Dr. Buckley.
Thank you all so much.
We have a quick break before the next session, and I do have to give you some very important news. There is junk food out there for